Hello and welcome back to Loren and Amazon Princess, and I'm in the middle of a fight.
Allow me.
Hit that snake. Oh dear, not good. Quite bad. Could be worse. Life 3. I'm very, very glad I invested in healing spells for her.
Allow me.
High damage. Aha, I staggered now. Some damage. Okay, hits stagger target with critical hit and has a 50% chance of instant kill and a 30%. Hit him with some damage.
This is how it's done.
Base damage attack and dead. Okay, we're down to one snake now, so we're doing okay.
Stand aside!
Some damage.
I'll protect you!
Right.
You can thank me later.
Okay. Still gotta get around to selling all these gems and things I've collected. Ray almost could not stand after the fight was over. His training was failing after learning such devastating truths. We need to go now, before we are caught. Eventually, Ray stood and recomposed himself. He looked over at the box on the table. He approached it and opened it. Inside was a crossbow, emblazoned with a copper leaf insignia. Ray reached out and lifted it gently. Did that belong to your parents? It seems one thing about my past has not been a lie. My father was also a marksman. Then it is in your blood. Ray zoned out once more, but then he shook out of it and headed for the windows. We must disappear, now. Right behind you. Ray jumped out of the window like before, and Eleanor learned to keep pace this time around. They escaped deep into the woods and away from any town. The long walk back to camp provided Ray with ample time to reflect on his entire life to date. Are you all right? I think so. I'm disturbed, that's all. Do you think differently of the Dark Elves now? Ray didn't answer, which was as good as one to Eleanor. Ray didn't want to admit that his thinking had been completely wrong. Although it was not clear if this new knowledge would change his views on certain things, it was clear that his father's crossbow became his new favourite weapon. Excellent, complete crossbow. Let's equip that. Where's he at? There he is. Which is slightly lower attack, better crit chance. Oh, let's equip it, because it's quite good. Anywho, I think I'm going to save there, because I haven't actually saved for a while. Right, okay, we're running out of those quests to do. I'm just going to quickly talk to him, but I don't think I'll have... Nope. He has nothing to say. I'm assuming nobody else does. I'll pick someone at random. Nope. Let's assume that nobody else has anything to say and go for Alphysmo's quest. You out, you in. Good. Alphysmo was quiet when Eleanor approached him at dawn. He scowled once before leading her from the camp and into the wilderness. Their journey was more of the same, long stretches of walking with absolutely no words in between. They travelled into Mount Kronos. Eleanor was not looking forward to the climb, or the cold. After some time, Eleanor dared to speak up as they approached the side of the cliff. Where are we going? Never you mind. You're here to assist me and not to ask questions. I've been quiet so far. The least you owe me is explanations. No, I do not. Please, I've come this far. Alphysmo grumbled. We are almost there. We will search the Tomb of Fallen. Eleanor had heard of it. It was a massive tomb full of war heroes. They were buried with nothing but the clothes on their backs. What do you plan to find there? Alphysmo said nothing and continued to hike. You're not looking for something, but someone. Alphysmo stopped and turned around. He gave Eleanor a long look. We must be hastier. Before the old wizard could press on, however, their way was blocked by unfriendly company.
Disgusting creature.
Okay, one of them got paralysed. That'll do for now. Hit the other one in the front row. Neck. And actually, one of those is a healer, so I probably ought to focus fire on him. More paralysis this chance. Got it. At least with him paralysed, there's not much you can do. Oh, bloody hell. Right, he's defended by one of the guys in the front, so I can't do much about that. Keep hitting them, paralyze. It's not really getting me anywhere, but you never know. Oh, for Pete's sake, enough with the life spells. Let's get some life 3 up on this party. Strike. 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 He's running low on mana, which should be helpful now because he can't cast any more healing spells. At least not before this happens. Haha. Alright, next one. Guy at the back still kind of defensive, that's okay.
Have no time for this.
Put life spell on herself. Strike, shield crash. Spell, okay. He's still playing defensive, but it's not going to help him now. No, she's paralysed. Defend. Hit him with paralyze, so he can't do anything. Strike. With a blast. There we go.
Your wounds and make haste.
Not too tricky a fight. The orcs were slain. Alphysmo was worn from the climb and the battle. Are you well? I am. No more delaying. Onwards. The old man did not stop to recover, even though Elnor knew he needed to. They passed many obscure caves and burial sites in search of the mass tomb. At last they made it. When they reached the door, Alphysmo braced himself to catch his breath. Have some of my water. Alphysmo dismissed her. Elnor was offended until she realized that her water canteen was frozen solid. There must have been something that Elnor could do to help Alphysmo. The tomb was larger than Elnor ever imagined. Small utilitarian coffins lined the walls. There must be thousands of bodies here. Tens of thousands. Burials were rare in Averon, but the monks of the mountain had made an effort to preserve the bodies of fallen soldiers to honour them. It was almost in vain, as the way to visit the dead was too plagued by the very reason they were often burned. Beware! I have them. Bloody necromancers. Oh well, one of them got a bit paralysed. So I want to take that guy out as quickly as possible, because he's the primary threat. Okay, good. Paralysed. And he's very, very close to being very, very dead. Darn it. Hate it when they guard. It's annoying. I can't do anything about it. You know, unless I can knock that guy down very quickly, which I can't because I'm bloody paralysed. Actually, paralysed on the back row. Couldn't remember if that would get through or not, but it doesn't really did. Okay, Wizard Blast to take him down. Blast to injure him. Still can't do anything but defend. Stop being paralysed. Wizard Blast to take him down. Okay, he's lost his defense and he's fallen back. Okay, strike. Generation spells won't save you. Darn it, Physma's left paralysed now. Okay, defend. Okay. Ah, he doesn't have a lot of mana left, so his options are very limited. Strike. And a Wizard Blast to seal his fate. Excellent. That's victory there. The battle wore Alphysmo down even further, and he was forced to take a moment to recover. Elnor watched him closely. Why are you pushing yourself so much? The dead here have not left. At my age, everything is a race against time. Alphysmo slowly started to search the names on each coffin. Your assistance is now required. I am looking for the name Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn? Alphysmo turned away. Eleanor was determined to finally be of use to Alphysmo, and began her own search in a separate part of the tomb. Hours upon hours passed. Names began to blur together. That was easy. Eleanor almost passed up Gwendolyn's name when she finally found it, and then she could not believe it. Sir! Sir! Alphysmo had long disappeared, but he rushed into sight at Eleanor's call. He hobbled forward, leaning heavily on his staff. Please, tell me you have... Eleanor pointed at the tomb. Alphysmo grasped its end with disbelief. A smile formed on his face. A rare sight for Eleanor. Who is she? Alphysmo promptly pulled the coffin out with Eleanor's help and opened it. After the dust cleared, a sleeping skeleton was before them, hands crossed and dressed in tattered clothing. It is my daughter. The wizard reached into his robes and procured a bottled potion. He opened it with a squeak. Eleanor recognized the turquoise colour and immediately grabbed hand before he could act. Wait! Are you sure this is wise? Unhand me! She's dead. You know what can happen. We had to fight our way through the undead just to get here. Is that what you want her to be? Do not instruct me on my own life's work. You have done your job and may leave the mountain. Sir, I won't allow you to do this. They both stood and glared at each other. Eleanor reached for the potion, but Alphysmo pulled it away. Young elf! In their struggle, the potion tipped into the casket. They froze as the liquid sprinkled across the skeleton. The bones started to rattle. The clothes in its body started to mend. And as Alphysmo watched, the body was animating, but no flesh covered its bones. The skeleton sat up and picked itself out of the coffin. Gwen? The skeleton stood stoic for a moment, and then faced Alphysmo. Stars. My daughter. Alphysmo smiled and opened his arms. The skeleton moved towards him, but not to return his embrace. Okay, immune to paralysis. Okay. Get some regeneration up because we may need it. Darn it. Bolt.
You forfeited your life!
Yes. Not too difficult to fight there. Ooh, pulled her up. Good. Gwen was destroyed, but so became Alphysmo. He kneeled by the remains of his daughter and wept. Why? Why did you give your life when I was so willing? You had so much potential. Eleanor gave Alphysmo the time he needed to truly make peace with his daughter's death. He had spent so much time in the idea that she could come back that it was clear he had never allowed himself closure. Eleanor started to restore Gwendolyn to her coffin. Alphysmo was still on the floor, refusing to let go of Gwen's embroidered cloak. Her mother gave this to her. It was the day she was admitted into the Magic Academy. She insisted on fighting alongside me in the war. Her mother forbade it, but I took her anyway. The day I came home without her. He squeezed the fabric. How did she die? Alphysmo slowly stood with much effort. Eleanor finished replacing the tomb. She sacrificed herself. In my place. Sacrificed? Our foe was too strong. She knew what had to be done and she did it before I could stop her. I'm sorry. She sounds like a very remarkable woman. Silence filled the tomb once again, and Alphysmo turned away. Sorry, give me a moment. I'm actually starting to tear up doing this bit. Congratulations to whoever made this game. It does take a reasonable amount to make me tear up. We need to return. Alphysmo swallowed his sorrow and took belaboured steps to make his way out of the tomb. When they reached the entrance, they felt the sting of the frigid air again. Alphysmo visibly weakened. He leaned heavily on his staff and shook. Eleanor crouched in front of Alphysmo. Allow me to carry you. Nonsense. You don't need to pretend with me, Archwizard. Let me take you but one of your burdens. Alphysmo muttered and sighed. He eventually caved in and allowed Eleanor to carry him on her back. The trek back to camp felt twice as long. When they were back, they both needed a long rest. Before Alphysmo retired, he caught Eleanor's ear. "You were a decent help upon the mountain." Eleanor smirked to herself. "I'm interested in knowing what it would take to garner higher praise if a leg's journey on my back is only decent." After his breakdown at the tomb, Eleanor thought she would never see Alphysmo smile again, but he proved her wrong just then. "Good night." Alphysmo disappeared into his tent. In time, Eleanor would learn that Alphysmo's alchemy had stopped, and his findings scrapped. After seeing what his work had ultimately led to, he decided it was a dangerous slope, and it needed to end with him. Alphysmo treasured the cloak that he had recovered from his daughter, as a way of coming to terms with what had happened after so long. Cloak of the Fallen, right. Yes, I think I've got one more of these to do. Yep. So let's quit that. Yes, I think I've got one more of these to do, which is Loren's quest. And then I'll probably call this recording session for today. Because I think I've been doing this for something like 4 or 5 hours now, so really gotten into this session. Yep. Where's she at? There she is. Loren simply nodded as they made their way out to the citadel. Loren was greeted as an unproven princess, but she would leave as something more. A crowd gathered in the citadel plaza. The trial of queens started and ended with a public ceremony. How do we begin? I have yet to be told. The crowd parted, and Karen walked up to her daughter. "Loren, I am glad to see my own daughter where I once stood. May you own the pleasure some day as well. The trial of queens takes place below in the reliquary. The door is here." Karen gestured to a great stone door on the side of the castle. Loren had never paid any attention to it before, but now she realized why. "You will go with your servant into those depths. Your trial will be complete when you find yourself out of them again. What will I find in there? Only queens shall know." Loren took in a deep breath, knowing that this would be the most she would get out of her mother. "Then I will find out. Until then." Loren moved towards the door, and Eleanor followed right behind her. The princess looked over at her, and they shared a look. The doors were opened for them, and they both walked slowly into the darkness. They descended deep into the ground. Ancient weapons and other historical Amazonian artifacts lined the walls around them. There were also muffled remains of great Amazons. The Great Mothers. I am uncomfortable here. Yes, The sound of clattering bones surprised them, and they whirled around to attack. A skeleton stood before them. "Another queen has come." "I cannot believe it." "Hold your weapon." Loren bravely walked up to the skeleton. It watched her calmly. "Are you one of my great mothers? Your land is in famine." "What?" "A child steals food. Do you punish the child?" "Pardon?" "Do you punish the child?" "How could punishing a child for the crime of hunger serve my people?" The skeleton immediately collapsed into a pile of bones. "What happened?" "I'm not sure." "Who was that?" "I believe I know. There was a queen who sentenced a child to death in her reign, and there were many deaths from starvation that year. Perhaps her spirit regrets her decision." "Then the great mothers are warning you not to repeat their mistakes." Loren nodded and continued through the reliquary. Another skeleton hobbled into their path, but they were not frightened this time. "What does this one have to say?" Loren approached it cautiously. "The slaves revolted. They have killed many Amazons. Their fate is in your hands. How do you handle them?" "I would take the worst offenders and kill them to set an example. Harsher restrictions would be set up to prevent the uprising happening again." Apparently they didn't like that answer.
Try me if you dare.
That's the thing. Are they basically saying that the queen needs to be merciful as well as strong? I don't understand. Was that a wise answer? Loren looked around with a grimace. That is what the Great Mothers would have done. Why are they angry that I follow in their footsteps? They want differently for you, maybe. Loren was silent a moment, and then pressed on. After some time scouring the darkness, yet another skeletal Amazon crossed their path. And what do you wish to teach me? An Amazon has been found in the arms of a man. They are lovers. Who do you kill? They are both traitors to the Citadel.
Roll!
Bloody hell. Did pretty hefty damage though.
I should have surrendered when I had the chance.
If I can take him out quickly enough.
You're dead.
Specifically before he has a chance to fall back.
Keep up next
Okay,
time.
he's gone, so now we're just got to deal with a big zombie. It's just not a problem.
Try me if you dare.
Zombies. Ugly, not terribly bright.
Try me if you dare.
I hope it doesn't come to this again.
There we go. Staff of the Enlightened. Good stuff, okay. Eleanor looked upon Loren after surviving the battle with a sore heart. How could she have answered so cruelly? Loren stood in silence for a long while. Loren? She turned around with a start. I'm sorry. Let's move on. They walked further until they reached the end of the reliquary. There was a similar stone door, which meant they'd found their exit. We've made it, Your Highness. I was expecting more. It's no matter. Let us be done with this. She pushed away her disappointment and opened the door with Eleanor's help. Moonlight poured into the cavern. They stepped out into the night and saw that the population had gathered on the other side to welcome them. However, instead of being greeted with celebration, all of the Amazons were quiet. Loren was wary as she stepped out in front of them. Queen Karen stepped out from the crowd. Her war spear was ready. A circle formed around Karen and Loren. Eleanor was pulled back into the crowd. I see. I am to duel my own mother. Prove to your people that you are worth their loyalty. Karen raised her spear and braced herself for battle. Loren breathed deeply and reached for her own weapon. It would not be easy crossing weapons with her own mother, but she also feared that she may lose. Karen was not just one Amazon, but their queen. And even knowing that, she gave her mother one of the mightiest war cries. Ah, so I'm limited to just Loren for this fight, am I? Which means no healing, just massive pommel strikes.
Be gone!
Oh, that could be bad.
Why are there imbeciles everywhere I go?
That was a decent fight. Karen tumbled and caught herself. She panted and rose to one knee. It was then when the crowd was allowed to celebrate. Karen stood up and smiled at her daughter. Loren found herself smiling as well. She looked around at the Amazons cheering for her. This is now yours. Loren looked back at her mother. Karen slipped off a beautiful necklace that Loren had not noticed before the duel. Karen placed the necklace around Loren's head and rested it on her shoulders. You have earned the love of your people. May your reign be long. Karen bowed her head slightly, but Loren bowed even more out of gratitude. Karen laughed. You needn't bow to anyone now. You are still queen, and you have given me a great gift. But it is you that won our duel. They smiled warmly at each other. Eleanor was finally allowed to join Loren's side. She beamed at her. Congratulations, Eleanor. Loren smiled at her back, and it perplexed those around her, even herself some. She realized then that she was happy that she not only had Eleanor with her in the reliquary, but that she had known her at all. If she had not known Eleanor, Loren's answers would have been much different. Her lessons would not have been learned. I am grateful. Eleanor didn't understand the depth of her gratitude until much later. Necklace of Queens. Hey! Completed all this character's side quests. I'm just awesome that way. Plus I'm a sucker for good character interaction, so you know. Where's she at? She's right near there. There she is. That's necklace. Necklace of Leadership. Ooh, bonus damage, good. Bonus attack, bonus defense. Immune to a bunch of stuff. That is very tasty. Okay, I'm going to save there. Right. I think that's probably a decent point to end this recording session. Now that I've done all the class quests, next time I think I'll probably be heading to the Castle of Namar to do that, and then at some point in the future I'll also be doing the Orcish Wastes and Horus, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in future videos.